right, everyone, welcome back to my next video. Well, we're talking today about this fantastic car from the future. It doesn't fly, but it does everything else, I think. It's the Tesla. And we've met Keira, who on the last video, who is living for 15 months and 30,000 miles? 40,000 miles in a Tesla, living in it. Fantastic. So we learned all about the Tesla and her story in the last video. Please go back and watch that now before you watch this one. It'll make a lot more sense. We're not going to cover all that again. But today we're going to look around exactly how do you live in a Tesla. And if you're careful, drive practically for free. You can buy a Tesla for as little as $35,000, and it's not impossible like you might think it is to get hold of a Tesla. Let's go ahead and take a look around and we'll find out, how do you live in a Tesla? I think you're going to be fascinated. Keira, if you saw the first video, Keira, for her personal reasons, she doesn't want to be on video. I get that fairly often. And so Keira will be a disemboweled voice. And we will still happy to be here. Yes, but she's still happy to be here. And we will occasionally see her arm or her hand as we're showing you things. But the first thing I got to think of is this is a gorgeous car. Really, the aerodynamics must have a large role in why it's so successful. And so the people out there are thinking, how can you possibly live in a car? So let's start with, how do you sleep?
Well, if I was laying in it, I would be behind the driver's seat. My head would be right behind the driver's seat. My feet would be in the trunk.
Okay, so you just stretch out, and I don't even know how to open the car.
So push the fat part with your thumb, and then pull the other. There you go.
Okay. And there is no key.
There's no key. It runs completely off your phone, which quite honestly saves me from losing my phone, because that way I can't drive off if I've left my phone somewhere.
Wow.
So there's where my head would be.
So you'd be up here.
Yeah.
And you haven't removed the seats. They're in there.
I've removed the lower part of the backseat bench.
You have.
Just so that when I fold the 60% of the back seat down, it lays a little bit flatter.
Oh, I see. And in the back, this is going to be hard for you folks to see because of the light. It's pretty standard to have a tray that covers it so you can't see it, and her feet go underneath the tray, or I don't know what to call it, but kind of a tray.
That's a great place for storage at night.
Yeah.
Grab my phone, put whatever else up there I need. And I made that cover for my bed. It's ripstop nylon. I made it so I do travel with my dog, so that way she doesn't get her muddy feet when we're traveling all over it. And she lays on the other side. And you can see I do travel with her wearing a harness and a tether that's hooked to the child seat anchor. So I really struggled with the best way in such a confined space to do my bed. And I ended up doing this Sierra Design front country sleeping bag. So it actually loads from the front, and it doesn't have any zippers. Oh. So, and it also has a pocket for the mattress. So it all stays in one piece. And as you can see, the black is my pillow. And so it goes up in the hood. And so again, it's not flopping all over the place. And I can even stick my head in there if it were really cold. And then I took a full-size sheet, that tan sheet, and I sewed it at the bottom and then kind of about halfway up so that it opened to the front. So I can still kind of wrap up in it like a sheet, but I can then take it out and wash it. And then the blue and gray is the kind of the front part of the sleeping bag. So it becomes more like a quilt. And even has little pockets for your hand to go in there if it's real cold. My dog and I can keep the temperature of the car. You know, if it's 35 degrees, we can keep the car 8 to 10 degrees warmer than the outside. And so at that temperature, I probably am not even turning on the heat unless I'm trying not to fog up the windows.
With no motor to generate heat, just you're driving down the road, not even living in it, where does your heat come from?
So when you're driving, the heat comes from the batteries. When the batteries release energy, it generates a lot of heat. Oh. There's also really, really nice heated seats in the front, which I found is also like my heating pad. If my back is sore, I can just sit up there and get my back nice and heated. At night, it will still do heat, and it just does a little vibration of the battery that helps it generate heat. And then air conditioning is way more efficient in these cars because the whole system was set up to design to cool the batteries. So, throwing a tiny bit of air conditioning on top of it is nothing. Probably like 2 or 3%, like almost nothing. Not significant like you'd feel in a gas car.
And this is a moonroof kind of thing.
Yes, it's completely glass roof.
It's a completely glass roof.
Which is fabulous if you're laying there, you wake up in the morning, you're looking at the pretty sunrise, you're looking at the trees or the rain that's come down. I did have it tinted a little bit darker. I do have some like twist up shades that I can throw in there just to give a little more shade if it's a little bright. But again, I can run the air conditioner for about 1 to 2 miles of power per hour. So there's where my feet come out.
Your feet would be coming here.
Right. And I'm 5'4", but my feet only go to about here. So I've seen people as tall as 6 feet say that they've slept in their Tesla. I have yet to see anyone who does quite as hardcore camping as I do. So if you're out there, please contact me. I'll give you my email at the end, Bob.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't crowd me at all on the sides. It kind of looks like it might, but I have a Mondo King mattress per your suggestion.
And I love mine.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I fought it. I went back to my backpacking roots and kept trying to do a backpacker's mat. It just wasn't enough. And the Mondo King made all the difference in the world.
They're fantastic. It's made by Thermarest. It's a self-inflating pad. It's warm. It's insulated, and it self-inflates. And most people give it a few puffs of air. You can give it a few, or you can take some out, and make it hard as soft as you want. And you have water. There's your water.
Yeah, that's a Hydro Blue jerry can. It does have a built-in filter. So this is like Berkey level filter. So, I can take water out of a stream. I try not to do that, but if I needed to, I could. And, every once in a while I'm filling up in a kind of sketchy water station, and I kind of am glad that it's filtering it again.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You can see the Aquabot I have there as well. That's, shower, wash hands, wash dishes, all of that.
And on the other side, a little more storage. I see some food.
That's basically my all my food. So that's only food. I don't do any refrigeration. And I have a little hanging thing there that for just a little bit of produce. And then the little thing in the front, that's my trash can. So excluding my food, this is my entire kitchen.
Oh my.
So this is the Hot Logic Mini. Kind of like cooking in a crock pot. It's similar to the Road Pro, except for it doesn't get as hot. So it just has like a hot plate in the bottom. It'll never burn. And a 12-volt plug.
Right.
And I just cook in these, they're silicone bags. You can also cook in glass or plastic or whatever. I throw a raw chicken breast from the deli in here, maybe some, fresh vegetables in there. Pull them both in here, plug it in, go on a hike for a couple hours, come back, and in 2 hours the chicken breast is cooked. In an hour that's probably done, but they're not going to burn if it takes me longer to get back. And then the rest of my kitchen is a safety can opener, a strainer, a small cutting board, and knife, and then just some washing stuff. This is my, oops, a little dirty here, but this is just my large spoon. It's got, you can clean out those bags really good with this sort of spatula edge, and dig in there and eat.
That's very nice. What's that called?
This is by Morsel.
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 On Amazon?
On Amazon, yep. They have this size and a shorter size. I got the longer size so I could dig down into the bags. And I have a shorter one up front. If I stop somewhere and grab a thing of yogurt or something, I don't have to come back here and get out my fork.
You do camp in the backcountry.
Yes.
But I imagine you spend quite a bit of time in the cities as well.
I try to drive through cities.
But that's where your chargers would be, I would guess,
right,
or on the freeway.
Right. So right now, I've been really motivated to obviously do a lot of miles and see a lot of places. And so I drive through cities, stop and work for a couple hours, charge, refill everything, buy a couple days worth of food, and then move on and find a remote place or an interesting place to see. I think when I finally realized that how I work is I'm always wanting to learn something and see something new. Even if it's a mundane thing, the fact that I've never seen it makes me really happy. So I'm always on the lookout for something interesting to see. And I've enjoyed just the simplicity of choosing every day what makes me happy, what I want to eat that day, instead of having a big plan. I used to, when I do a lot of camping, it'd be this big thing to plan a week's worth of meals. Well, now I just don't do that. I kind of go with what I feel like at that time.
I see a great big suitcase here.
Yes, so I'm learning to paddleboard. I used to I used to carry a folding kayak, but I realized that with all the driving I was doing, to then sit in the kayak was a little bit too much sitting. So I'm learning to paddleboard, and it ends up being a very good platform for my dog's bed, and she likes being up higher. And let me show you why we're here. This is my office. So this is everything that I need to do my job. I do bookkeeping and small business management, and have a number of clients across the country. And hotspot my phone. This is an erasable notebook, so I can write in it and then erase it. It takes pictures. It goes directly to Google Docs or Evernote, and then Chromebook. And then I converted all of my electronics to these magnetic chargers. So all my electronics charge on these. So when I'm driving, I can just switch them back and forth without worrying which one's type C and which is a regular micro USB. And then that's made it really easy to keep everything going. You can contact me through my Tesla website. So it's info@recreationaltesla.com. So just like a RV is a recreational vehicle, this is a recreational Tesla.
RT.
So, yes. So yeah. So
info@recreationaltesla.com.
Yep. And so I'm working on just getting some more of the details. Every time I stop at a charger, every time I go camping, everybody wants the information of all the stuff I carry. So I'm working on getting all that up. But the email is working, so.
Yeah, I think you'll be real popular after this comes out.
Well, I hope so. It's my little bit to help the future change. It'd be great.
Yeah, and these cars are so amazing. And we throw that word around anymore, but boy, in this case, it's really true.
It is true.
So often it's not, but this is. Okay, so let's take a look up front. Yeah, it'd be pretty fair to say you're a minimalist. I mean, you can't have much less stuff than you do.
Even this trip, I sat down one day and I said, I need 25% less clothes. It's just too much. It's feeling too crowded. And I think that's part of living in this small space, is being able to say, if it feels inconvenient, then I need to let some things go. Then I enjoy all the other things that I have.
Oh, mine there, you don't have anything up here. You have less up in your front driving area than I do, than most people I know.
Exactly. Well, and this was part of my security or safety plan, if you will, is I wanted it to look like the back windows are tinted darker than the front windows. So I wanted, if somebody looked in the window, to basically see my water bottles, and that's really about it.
Right.
That there really is nothing else up there. How could I possibly be traveling? It's just somebody on their way to work.
You have to have more than we've seen. So where is everything?
Well, there's 2 secret compartments in the Teslas.
All I see up front is the hood, like every other car.
That's right. I always tell people, oh my gosh, this is my walk-up closet, and I've lost my engine, and somebody put a dresser.
Oh my goodness, it fell out.
Yeah.
And somebody put a bunch of clothes in there.
Right. So this is basically all my clothes, all my kind of getting ready stuff. So this is my, like dirty laundry bag. Here's all my clothes all folded up. I use a lot of these types of things that fold up from the dollar store. That way, when this one's empty and it's in here, I can fold it up, and now there's room for that. I just try to keep in mind that if it's something I might need in the middle of the night, like Pepto-Bismol or something, I probably want it here than at the dollar store. But a lot of other things, I'll just get it if I need it. And then I have a little mirror I hang up here to get ready.
So a lot of people are seeing this and seeing how little you have, and they're thinking, well, I couldn't possibly do that. That's inhuman. But if you were a long distance backpacker,
right,
you have an enormous amount of stuff. They couldn't even imagine carrying this much.
Exactly. Well, in my history is that I've done backpacking, I've done tent camping, I've had a pop-up trailer and fifth wheel, a Class A. I've had all those things. So when it came down to this, knowing my kids were about to go into college and I'd have the time to do this, which had been a long-term plan of mine, a big part of it was I could pull a trailer. I can parallel park a Class A, but do I want to? Do I want all that setup? And so I just wanted the simplest, most nimble way to travel possible. I wanted to get in, sleep, and then get up and just be able to go.
It's just so beautiful and amazing how frugally and environmentally sound you're living. You're living a life of adventure, you're flourishing, you've raised your kids, they're on their own. That's amazing.
This lifestyle and building up to it and doing what I want to do has been quite a journey for me. The things that happened early in my life were really distressing and really depressing, and a lot of anxiety surrounding those things. And I just took some time to really figure out what would make me happy. Trees are healing to me, water's healing to me, meeting people on the road. I've never had a situation where I needed help and somebody wouldn't help me. I've driven away from situations that I thought might be scary, but nothing ever happened. I just got up and left, and it's that kind of freedom and that willingness or that ability to decide if I go right or left later today is the kind of exciting part for me.
Were you afraid? Because you're a single woman on the road, in a car, and a lot of women would be terrified. Were you afraid, and are you afraid?
So, my background is I came out of a violent relationship. And so I definitely have a reason to be afraid. I've seen the worst side of humanity. But for me, the turning point for me was I took a model mugging class. And it's a self-defense class for women where you actually fight a padded up male. And I brought my daughter with me through it. And I have to say that entire class was a experience. It's designed to say you're worthy to fight for. If someone were to attack you, we'll give you the skills of how to do it, but you first have to believe that you're worthy enough, that you're valuable enough, that you deserve to fight back. And that's a really big struggle over, the 3 days of this course. And I'm so glad I took that course, and I'm glad I took it with my daughter, because I think that was really the turning point for me. Is not only did I realize that I had now the skill, but even more importantly, I walk different. I feel different. Mm-hmm. I'm more observant. They taught us how to be more observant in your surroundings. And because of that, I don't act afraid, and I'm not afraid. And so I think that was a really big turning point for me, and something, if you're able to do that as a woman and you've been through that kind of past, I think it's an excellent way to get over that fear if that is something you have. Like you've said a million times, I'm more scared of people I've met in the city than I am ever out in the wilderness or even at a rest stop or a truck stop or anything like that. It's all mostly really, really genuine, good-hearted people.
Right.
That are traveling.
Okay, and that raises the big questions. How do you go to the bathroom? Number one.
Well, I mostly go at picnic areas and gas stations and charters and all of that. So that's 95% of the time. I do the same container that I had my trash in. I have a separate one that's covered in Gorilla Tape for discretionary purposes, and I use that, and doggy bags.
So like we all do, you're using a container to get rid of it.
Yeah. So it's a small container, and it took a little practice, and both in getting into the car, getting from the front of the car to the back of the car, and also using the quote-unquote restroom. All of those took quite a while to figure out how to do in this size of a car. And basically what I did is I took an hour each time and said, how's the best way to get from the driver's seat to the bed? Going to the restroom. If I can't get out of the car and go by a bush, which seat's the best, what direction, what size container, all those. And I just took the time to figure out what was something that I could do accurately every time. Right.
And showering?
Showering,
Cleanliness?
mostly Planet Fitness or, state parks and that kind of stuff. But my Aquabot in a pinch, and then lots of baby wipe.
Can you hook up an inverter to your battery?
No.
No.
Well, you can, let me go back. You can. So there is a 12-volt plug. It's a 15 amp, capped at 15 amps. So anything that could run on that, you could do. One of the things that Tesla does, they do everything possible to protect the battery.
Right, of course.
So I can't jump somebody's car from this car. It's 350 volts. You wouldn't want me to send you back to Alaska if I jumped your car.
No. And that's how it worked.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, can you give me a jump? Like, no. But they also are very careful to not let you draw too much power from it. There are people who've short-circuited that safety thing. I want to protect the battery. It's an expensive part of this car. I have all these USB plugs and this giant battery. What if I just figure out a way that everything I need, I can charge from that?
And you can.
Yes,
USB is really amazing.
Yeah, and the computer was the hardest thing to figure out how to do that. But since everything I do for work is online, then the Chromebook worked perfect for me, which I had used for many years, and that solved all the problems. So back under the bed here, there's a little compartment because there's no exhaust, there's no drivetrain, there's no drive shaft. So behind the front seats, it's completely flat. And then back here, you've got a deep container. So I have a burrito chair, small fold-up chair. Got an extra container. I got my charger for other places I need to charge. I have a cord for that. Just got some extra miscellaneous things. This is a screen house, hammock. This is a down comforter. This would be if I had somebody else staying with me. This is a hammock stand, Chensa outdoor hammock stand. It's great. That's a tarp, and then that's another backpacking pad. So these are the things I rarely use, I rarely get out, but they're nice to have when I want them. If I want to spend the day at a state park or something, I can set up my hammock and lounge around in that. There's a few tools in here and a shovel down here as well. But that just gives me a lot of extra stuff that I do need occasionally.
Now your spare tire would have gone there, where we just looked.
Correct.
So there's no spare.
No. So I do carry a pump with the inflating, the goopy stuff, the sealing stuff. But also Tesla includes roadside assistance.
Oh, so the roadside assistance, you can pretty much count on that.
Yeah.
And they know you don't have a spare, so the roadside assistance will bring you one.
Right. Well, I've seen a lot of people on YouTube camp in their driveway, or say they can camp. Oh, I've camped in my car and it was fine. But I haven't really seen anybody who really is, traveling indefinitely, living in it, or doing really long road trips or hardcore camping. So I'm interested to see if this brings anybody to the surface. Would love to hang out with them, share ideas, and maybe camp together sometime.
And give us your contact info again. People can contact you.
Yes. So it's info@recreationaltesla.com.
And that's you. That's not Tesla, the company.
No,
that's you
that's
personally.
me. That's my website I'm working on with all my stuff, and that email does work. So.
Because you would like to build an organization, probably.
Oh, sure. I'd love to meet a few other people. Yeah, because I think eventually we're all going to be out here in electric vehicles.
I think so.
I'll just be the front end of that.
Yeah, you'll be the forefront.
That's right. So ground clearance. So it's relatively low ground clearance. I did get it stuck once in the snow just because I forgot that it was so low, and I kind of plowed up a bunch of snow in front of me. But I'm an experienced four-wheel drive driver, so if you use some of the same principles of approach angle and not high centering yourself and spotting what you need to, or walking in front if you're questioning it, I've gotten into some pretty impressive places. And there's a hard cover on the bottom of the battery, so the entire floor of the car is the battery. And so it's still protected if you make a stupid mistake and hit a rock. But the instant torque, the fact that it has so much torque, you can really climb over a rock if you need to, or climb out of some sand. It's actually quite impressive.
So one of the things that Tesla is legendary for is its performance. Does it live up to the hype?
Oh, yes. The thing that I love to do when I take somebody for a test ride is to hear them do the Tesla giggle, which is the first time they've ever felt instant torque. So because there's nothing to wind up in the engine and to get going, it just launches off like you can't believe, throws you back in your seat. And every single person I've ever taken just busts out laughing. And this is even the slowest version. So, you know, this is not the performance version, but still you can do 0 to 60 in just about 4 seconds,
Wow.
which is incredibly fast.
Keira, thank you so much for sharing your Tesla home with us. I am just blown away. I was kind of a doubter before we talked, and now I'm a believer. I think Tesla's the future of the world, actually. That guy is so smart, he's just going to take over. So folks, I hope you got something out of this video. I'm sure you did. I think this is just fascinating. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel,